An elven warrior trapped on modern-day Earth. Two friends with different destinies meet at a magical school. These are some of the stories we at Electric Lips Comics are working on. You can get your copies of both The Mana Chronicles and Tales of Itherel at elpmerch.com. Support independent creators. Explore the merch featuring exciting ELP Comics art with a wide range of designs. Electric Lips Comics. Imagination electrified.
Welcome everyone to another Conversations Void. I'm your host, Graveyard. Producer list tonight, just because outside Chicago here, we have about 60 to 80 mile-an-hour winds, and he has no power right now. So fingers crossed, my power stays on. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce actor, comedian, writer with works including Galaxis, Ferocious Female Freedom Fighters, and Days of Darkness. Please welcome to the Void, the one and only Joey Gaynor.
You want to be my agent? That's the best intro I've ever. No, that was, you covered more. I forgot half of that stuff. Believe it or not. Seriously, you covered the okay. No, hi Chicago. First of all, shout outs to my good friends in Chicago. That's Dr. Bill Miller, funny guy. Nick Gaza, really funny guy. Shout out to my friends from Chicago, Marshall Warfield, my friend, hey, and of course Brad Sanders, a very funny guys, and Tom Joyner, who was the fly jock that I worked for many years, and I don't now, and which I did, but I don't. Tom, if you see this or hear this, send work. Okay, now we got that pissing ass here and looking like a moron, so get that thing out of there.
How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm feeling good. I'm really in a good mood. I mean, I'm in a better mood. I lost a couple of friends over the weekend. It's how the world goes, but I'm in a much better mood tonight because I was looking forward to this, and I this is like one of the oh, look at that. This is one. I'm looking at me and I'm like, where's this? Oh, it's right there. I can look at that. It's television. It's the same kind of camera. So anyway, yeah, I'm in a great mood. I smoked a bale and I'm good.
There you go.
Look, officer. No, I'm kidding.
Like I said, my producer, he's a little bit about 20 miles south of me. He has no power. There's
it's
so many
cold.
power outages here. It's crazy.
That's
wind.
Yeah, it's bad weather there right now, and to everybody there, God bless. Hopefully everything will be all right, and that you're just warm in your house.
Yep.
So,
So Joey, before we get into the meat and potatoes of who you are and what you've done, I wanted to talk a little bit about, are you consider yourself like a horror fan of horror movies or comics or TV shows?
Oh man, yeah. Look, since I'm a kid, and I wish I'd have dug them out. My scanner printer went nuts, and I'm done, and I can't. I have photos of me. The first horror movie I ever reacted to as a kid was Mighty Joe Young. My mom put it on the TV. I'm a little kid. I got my little Captain Sailor's hat on, and I'm laying there and I'm watching this. And apparently what happened when Mighty Joe Young came on the screen, I jumped up, threw my bottle at the screen, ran behind the chair, and started picking up toys and throwing them at the television, throwing them at Mighty Joe Young. And then that's become one of my favorite films of all time. It's a great movie. And then as far as horror and comedy, those are two things that I've always been a big fan of, because as a kid, my dad was real sick when I was a kid, and we went through a lot of stuff. So comedy or a horror movie, and he was also a big horror fan and a comedy fan, weirdly enough. But I remember watching the first time I watched Frankenstein was with my dad. It's got to be like 1958, 59. in the living room with the black and white TV late at night. I'm getting to stay up late, and I see Frankenstein burning, and I'm like, well, oh, they're burning him, and he's like, well, yeah, he's the bad guy. Frankenstein's the bad guy. He's not, But
right.
I remember that, and it was really weird. Plan 9 from Outer Space used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid, because our yard at night would get dark in the back and in the front, and it wasn't illuminated. I mean, unless we turned the outside lights on, but otherwise when it was dark, I mean, it looked, like that. Plus, there was a place named Branchbrook Park. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Branchbrook Park was infamous for its ghosts or whatever. 1 second, I have a cat eating my the things you pull for the blinds. Hey, you, get over here. Get over here. I'll cook you with eggs. All right, hang on. Hang on there, sweetie. All right, here. You want to look out the window? There you go. All right, don't eat these. All right, that a girl. Oh.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Hey, you, put that down. I'll break your arm. I really hate when my grandfather comes over. Anyway, no. Anyways.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about your Frankenstein stuff like that, and I grew up in a household where my parents didn't like horror movies. They really didn't watch movies, but they like one movie they always had me watch, or they watch all the time, was Jaws. And having been able to speak to Carl Gottlieb a couple of weeks ago,
wow,
and I'm just like, he's like, I told him, like, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but that movie scared the shit out of me when I was like 3. To the point that my older sisters knew if I was misbehaving, they'd start playing the tune on the piano and freak me out.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. When I first was getting into comedy, I was going to the Comedy Store late 1975, and then that time looking for Richard Pryor, because I had seen him at the old Schubert Theater in Los Angeles, Century City, 3 nights out of the 6 that he was there, or 5, whatever it was. And he was always my idol, and then eventually became my mentor. I got to work with him. But I was waiting, and there was a guy who wrote for him, who was a brilliant stand-up comedian, really just a brilliant guy, Paul Mooney. And I'd never seen or heard of him. And he went on, he closed the show. This was the first, and he did a bit about Jaws that was just hysterical. He said, black people don't worry about Jaws because we don't go in the water. So when we hear dun 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 dun, we're like, oh, that's theirs. And the white people, you see the movie and it's like, oh, it was horrible. The dun dun started, and we were on the ship doing the hustle, and the big shark came and ate my brother. And it was just great. The bit was great. And that's when I became a big fan of his too. But he had the first and only Jaws bit I had ever heard. The dun dun music's for the white people. It's not for us. We're not going in the water. We're not stupid enough to go.
Yeah. It scared me so much that when in like 1990 we went to Universal Studios in Florida as a family, and of course we went on Jaws the ride. I'm like 6 at this point in time, and of course the shark comes up on my side of the boat. And I'm just like traumatized for life. But then I watch other horror movies after that. I go, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. So it's just
when I was 8 years old, I was in California in '64, and we went to Disneyland, and we took the Jungle Cruise. And of course, in the Jungle Cruise, one of the biggest things is the hippo comes out of the water, attacks the boat, and they shoot the hippo. Yeah. And I'm sitting right behind the guide, and the hippo came up and was right there, and me and some other kids, wow, and he's bam, bam with the blank gun, and he shot the mechanical hippo. And but my favorite thing at Disneyland was you'd take the riverboat ride, and you'd go past a burning house of a Confederate soldier who's lying there with an arrow in his back. I have no idea what that's supposed to represent. That was on the riverboat ride in Disneyland. And so it kind of tells you the temperature there, I guess. Yeah. But the rides that I used to love, as a kid, there were certain places you could. I love the spook house, but there were certain places you didn't go, like at Olympic Park. If you went to Spook House, there were, like a teenage, the guys with the duck haircuts when I was a kid, the teenagers that were bad, tough guys, and they had like a bar of soap and a sock, and they'd hit you with it, So we didn't go in there, and talk about a horror. But that was Olympic Park was interesting because they had a circus, and I think the guy had to shoot the monkey. I can't remember. It wasn't very good. The sideshow had the bearded man and the male nurse, and also the rare two-headed VCR. But that was back in the day. So yes, I know that a lot of people who watch and listen to this will understand those jokes. So I did them.
Thank you. So I mean, with that kind of leads into get into this. How did Joey Gaynor get into comedy then? Like, what started you in that path?
Okay, we moved after high school. I went to high school in Roselle, New Jersey, which is also the home now to many comedians, writers, actors. All start coming out of this school. And Bob Sumner, a friend of mine who's I went to school with his cousins and stuff there, and now he's one of the biggest producers in comedy. It's amazing. And I got to California. I wanted to be a singer. I was in bands when I was growing up, and we were playing everywhere. And I get to California, and I realize I don't have rocks in my pockets, and I'm not a big hair looking. I don't fit, Anyway, for about 8-9 months, I was fucking around with music, and I was in some bands, and I was used to being in a professional band. I get to California, I'm in a band with other high school guys again, and it's just fucking stupid. Anyway, I don't want to, boring, but I had fun, and then I went to see Richard Pryor. What happened in '75 that summer? I saw Freddie Prinze open for Helen Reddy. Freddie Prinze was a star, Chico and the Man. When you see him live, this guy who's only like 3-4 years older than me was like, wow, look at this guy. So this really young comic, man, he's blowing it up. And he was great on stage. Freddie was fucking funny. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And so then that was in August. And then in October of '75, I go see Richard Pryor, who's my idol. I mean, of all the comedians I watched when I was a kid, when I saw him on Merv Griffin or Johnny Carson, that was it. I just fell in love with his humor and his performance and everything. And I go to see him at the Schubert Theater. I see him 3 different nights. He does the same show each night, but it's different. And he walked out the very first night. He walked out on stage, and his opening line was, because the Patty Hearst thing was going on, if you know what that was, the big Randolph Hearst's daughter and all that shit got kidnapped. And he came out, he goes, Patty Hearst, bitch sucked some dick and went crazy. The fucking house came down. And he talked about Nixon, and he talked about, and I was like, wow, this ain't Richard Pryor on Merv Griffin. This guy's a motherfucker,
Right.
And boop, boop, my eyes are popping out, and I'm sitting there like just blown out of my seat. So my uncle happened to be a ticket broker, so I said to him, I want to go again. And another night, when there was a ticket left over, he gave it to me. And another night there was a ticket left over, he gave it to me. And I went and I watched all 3, and then I started going to the Comedy Store looking for Richard Pryor. And that December, the same year, there was a big, they used to have these Cavalcade of Stars shows for the radio stations used to do that at the holidays. So KHJ at the time, 980 in LA on your dial, they had the big Cavalcade of Stars for Christmas, and it was Donnie and Marie and Cher. Donnie and Marie. I remember it was Tony Orlando and Dawn, Donnie and Marie, Freddie Fender, Cher, Captain and Tennille. Oof. And there was a couple of other people on it, and Freddie Prinze performed, and I had that on tape, and I accidentally erased it, not realizing what I was erasing. I would wish I had it now. And I'm trying to think of who else was on that show. There was a couple of other people who came out and, And Tony Orlando was completely overbearing the whole time. And it was for the March of Dimes or something. I can't remember, but it was a big thing. And I watched Freddie. And then that's when I had been going to the Comedy Store, and I'd seen him there a few times live because he was performing. He'd do Westwood, he'd do Sunset, and then he would go down and do the Improv. And I went to see if Richard Pryor was there, and I saw that this was a room like you'd go to a jazz club that nobody knows about. And all these incredible jazz musicians are jamming, or really good underground rock and roll club. I'm not talking about pop bullshit, big screaming. I'm talking about the real good rock and roll. I walked in the Comedy Store and I felt at home, like I'm watching this underground thing, and not that many people know about this, and I do now. And wow, these guys are doing stand-up one after another. Now, a few years before that, in like 1970, it was fall of 1970. I was watching PBS in New York. I lived in New Jersey. We were watching PBS New York, Channel 13, and they had Bill Cosby's variety show was on Channel 4, I think, and this special was on PBS. New comedians from the improvisation in New York. So I'd never heard of this or whatever. And I'm sitting there, I'm about 15. I'm watching this. And I'm going back and forth. I'm watching Bill Cosby, and it just bored the shit out of me. It was just stupid to me. I mean, the bits were stupid, and it was just a lot of, hey, hey, yo. And so it wasn't funny to me until I go back and I'm like watching Jimmy Walker before anybody knows who he is, Steve Landisberg, Marvin Braverman, who was great, Lenny Schultz, Mike Preminger, who became a very big writer. All of these guys had careers, okay? All of them performed, all of them they kicked ass on the show. There was one other guy, I can't remember his name, but there was all of them were really funny. And the odd thing was, this was supposed to be a new talent showcase, and the person they cut out of the show that they said would never make it was Bette Midler.
Really?
Yeah. Because when I talked to Steve Landisberg or Jimmy Walker about that show, that's the first thing pops up. Did you know they cut Bette Midler out? So here is this special, and I watch it, and I'm glued. I'm mesmerized. The next day, I'm repeating the material in woodshop class, And I said, this other guy did this, I always give credit if I'm quoting someone. And then, oddly enough, it reran like 3 days later. And I watched it from the very beginning again, watched the whole thing. And it made me wonder, what do I want? I know I want to be an actor or in show business. I want to do something like that. But this stuck with me. And now, let's say it's 5 years later, and I walk into the Comedy Store, and who's standing out in front of the Comedy Store? Steve Landisberg, Jimmy Walker, Mike Preminger, Jay Leno. He wasn't on it, but Jay Leno was there. A guy named David Letterman, a guy named Gallagher, another guy named Willie Tyler with his Lester, with his figure, with Lester, the ventriloquist.
Yep.
There was all these guys I had seen either on TV or on that special. And I walked up and I was like, that's what made it so special. And then when we get to the Ghost of the Comedy Store, I'll tell you one other element that made me so homey there when I got there, comfy. But I was watching the stand-ups every night. And I kept saying to myself, I know I want to be a singer, and I know how to sing. I know how to do that. I wasn't great. I mean, I wasn't, but I could sing. I could get up with any band and sing. I mean, I didn't give a fuck who it was. They could be Buddy Rich's band. I get right up and fucking sing. I've never been afraid to do that, but the stand-up thing. And I kept watching. And I said, the difference between this and being in a band is I don't have to deal with 4 other guys and their 80 personalities. I can deal with my 80 personalities right there. So I kept coming and watching, and it was like going to night school. I'd be there every night till they closed, 1:30, 2 in the morning. Drive home, get up, go to work. Had a day job. Was working as a ticket office, concert tickets, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I went to see Richard at the Roxy. I went to see, as a matter of fact, I saw Richard at the Roxy in 1975 also. I don't know why I forget that, but I did. And then I saw Gary Mulder at the Roxy. I was going and watching comics. I'd go and pay and go in and go and see. It was college for me. And the more I did it, and then I really wanted to try it. And the Comedy Store at Potluck Night on Monday night, you could sign up and you got 5 minutes. And I kept thinking, well, I want to do this. And can I, So I started to get more cocky about it, and I'm hanging around comics, and we're hanging out now and knowing each other. And hey, how you doing? How are you? Blah blah blah. Let's go get coffee. Let's go get something to eat. And I'm hanging out, and I'm getting more cocky about it. And then I'm sitting there one night, and Tim Reed, Venus Flytrap from WKRP, comes in, and he says to me, "Are you going on tonight?" And I said, "No. I'm going to go on a Monday. I don't know what to say." And he goes, "Oh man, yeah, you should, man. You're a funny guy, man. You're funny." And I'm like, "Thank you." And I'm like, well, I guess he thinks I look funny. So, all right, now I got to work on that. I look funny. Okay. I look funny. I look like I look like I'm funny. Okay. Yeah, I'm running around at 20 years old going, well, a professional comedian thinks I look like a comedian, So I start writing stuff, and I wrote some really bad, terrible material. And but I did write Richard Pryor doing the weather. And I wrote jokes I still do today. And this is 1976. I wrote the same jokes. One of the jokes is, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in the ghetto. Since I was a kid, I was very into and aware of the black problem, very deeply into the black problem. As a matter of fact, many people would say I am the black problem, but I can't take credit for all that. I mean, geez, I'm only one man. Now, I'm a 20-year-old skinny kid with a big fucking afro. And the night, first of all, before I ever went on, I went up to Steve Landisberg, who I always respected, always thought was really great. And I'm real cocky. And I go, so Steve, I'm thinking of going on Monday night and try it out, see if I'm, but I mean, 5 minutes, is that enough to get him going? In Landisberg, if you remember Dietrich from Barney Miller, Steve Landisberg looks at me like this. And he's tall. I'm a lot shorter. And he looks down at me and he goes, is it enough time? It's a fucking eternity if you're not funny. And my knees buckled. And I went, hey, can we go next door for coffee? I want to tell me more. So we go next door and we for about an hour. And he told me, if you got 3 minutes, do 3. If you do well with 3, get the hell off. It doesn't matter. There's no overtime. Nobody's going to pay. Don't hang around looking for laughs. So I said, okay, yeah, I've always heard that. Now I've heard it from a guy that knows. Now I'm going to him and I'm going, what do you think of this joke? What do you think of that? He goes, that's not bad. You do mimicry. Find a personality. I've heard you do mimicry of some of the comics. Find someone you can do that's popular, an impression. Okay. So I'm in the ticket office. There's no business because it was in a shithole. Anyway, I'm in there and I came up with Richard Pryor doing the weather, which was interesting. And I had some other jokes too. And I go to do this on a Monday night. I get to the club and you got to sign up. And there's a lady signing people up. And I'm not talking to anybody because in my head I'm going, am I Joey Gaynor or Jerry Allen? Jerry Allen sounds more Jewish, like a comedian. That might be better. I don't know. Well, Joey Gaynor's my name. That's my father's name. I don't know. This is the fucking insanity I'm going. So I finally get up to the table. Other people are doing their act in line, and I'm not paying attention to anybody. And I'm real intense. And I get to the table, and there's this lady sitting there, little diminutive lady. And she goes, hi, what's your name? And I said, I'm Joey Gaynor. And I said my name. I was going to say Jerry Allen. I said Joey Gaynor. Okay. Now, she goes, oh, I'm Mitzi. Hi. I go, oh, my sister's name is Mitzi. And I don't know what the fuck to say. That she goes, okay, you're on the list. And here's a drink ticket. And the MC will bring you on when it's, she explains everything. Really gentle, really sweet, really nice. So I go sit down. I'm sitting next to a guy named Leo who's from Philadelphia. It turns out now this guy, you might know, his name is Leo Rossi. He's an actor who's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A great guy. He really, and that night we were having a ball. I'm from Jersey, he's from Philly, and we're watching these people go up there and just say things and bury themselves. And we're like, well, I'm not going to do that. No, neither am I. So he goes up and he does a bunch of stuff about being from Philly and everything. And, you know, we're both new. And so the stuff is kind of repetitive. I mean, I'm not going to say what I wrote was brand new, but he wasn't stealing or anything. It was just stuff about the neighborhood. And he does a really good set. And he comes off and I say, hey, man, that was really good. He goes, well, I forgot this thing. And I said, yeah, don't worry about it. And he had a really good time. So one or two more, they call me up there and I go up and I got on stage and I had more knots in my stomach. I still have the audio tape. I still do. And I had knots. And I got up there and I said, can you turn the lights down just a little bit? They're kind of bright. And Mitzi turned them off. Okay, I didn't know who Mitzi was. So anyway, the lights are turned off. The audience, big fucking laugh, and there's applause. They turn the lights back on. I go, thank you, that helps a lot there. And I look down, and I don't know what it was, but it's probably the influence of Paul Mooney, who I talked to also extensively before I ever went on. And I look down, and the whole two front rows were black people. And I said, oh, wow, all the black folks are up front. I thought the stage was in the back. And there was a silence for like a second, and then boom, this reaction. And I went, oh, come on, stop it. I said, blah, 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 blah. I'm here to be your friend. And I go on and on. I'm this skinny little asshole. And after I did the joke about I am the black problem. I come from a black Italian neighborhood of Spaghetto. I did these jokes. And the audience they're really laughing their ass off now because they picked up on what I was doing. I was the naive white kid trying to be hip and hey, I'm from the ghetto too, hey. Yeah. And so they're fucking rolling. And I did Richard Pryor doing the weather to close out, and I said the N-word. It's 1976. I'm doing Richard Pryor. And I used the N-word when I was talking about the weather in Alabama. And nobody got mad. There was a burst of laughter and applause. I mean, I'm fucking up there, and for the first time in my life, I'm doing stand-up comedy. And I'm shocked I didn't have a shit ball fall down my leg. I'm serious. As I'm doing this, I'm shitting in my pants. But I'm in control. And I finish up. And good night. And I got off and I had really nice applause. And I go and sit down. But I must have said motherfucker, fuck, cocksucker about 88 times in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And I sit down, and the MC was a guy named Howard Taylor, rest his soul. And Howard was a guy that if you won the lottery and he was coming to tell you, he came over to tell you, he would tell you as if your mother died. Okay. So Howard comes over to me and he goes, yeah, Joey, right? I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, the owner wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to throw me out. I was so dirty. I really was. I said, I was so nervous. I motherfucker, fuck this, fuck. Right. And I turned to this guy, Leo, and I went, well, nice meeting you, Leo. Hey man, they're going to ban me. And I go over to the table and here's this lady who now I know she's the owner. The same lady signed me up as the owner. Oh. I sit down and she looks at me with this look. And I'm like waiting to hear, get the fuck out of my room. And she looks at me and goes, how long are you doing stand-up? And I said, well, that's the first time I've ever been. Oh my God, you were wonderful. Louder than the fucking guy on stage. And then she made me a regular that right then, which was disastrous because I had 4 fucking minutes. Jay Leno had 4 hours. What am I doing in there? So right. I'm trying to follow these guys and it's not working out. So then she put me on the program at Westwood where Mondays and Tuesdays were for beginners. And I was doing that, and I was doing the improv on their open mic night. And it was going real well, and then it started going bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I was listening to the wrong people. about what to do, how to do it, instead of going back to the people that originally were telling me how to do it and what to do. Now I'm listening to these assholes. Anyway, finally, in 78, it took about a year and a half to go out and really bust my ass and get back being funny. And I got funny. Thank you, Mitch Walters, the late Mitch Walters. He helped me design an act, make an act, showed me how to write the jokes right. And all of the comics were on my side. Letterman, late George Miller, all these guys, they liked me and they were on my side. And I got back in to the store, and the rest was crazy. It really was my college. It was my night school. I learned improv there with Danny Mora, who is a excellent coach. If anybody out there gets a sitcom, you call him. I learned improv. I learned how to. I wasn't a very social. I didn't know how to be in that situation with this many grown-ups. Now I learned sometimes the hard way, sometimes the easy way, but it was the best. It was better for me than going to college, because I would have never read the books. I would have hated getting up in the fucking morning to go. I mean, once I was done with high school, I did some night school before I got into stand-up, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to take a math class, remedial math. Okay, I can count. I don't fucking need this. I'm not going to be an accountant. Okay, I can count. I don't, so that's another problem with education. They force stuff on you. I don't mean they should have dumb classes, but stuff that you're really interested in and can excel. But anyway, I did take some acting classes at college, but the acting classes there were nothing like sitting in on Michael V. Gazzo at the Gazzo Theater on Westwood Boulevard,
Right.
Well, Gazzo studio. I mean, the Frank Pantangeli. Hey, they recruit Spix. Michael, from the fucking Godfather. I mean, I'm working with Robin Williams, the Comedy Store Players. I mean, I'm working with Fred Willard. I'm working with all these great fucking people. Why? And I'm not putting down college. Don't get me wrong, but I never would have learned the way I learned there. I would have learned if you're a dentist and you do, the community play, I would have learned that, but I wouldn't have learned how to fucking stand and work with Paul Savino.
Right.
And people like that, I wouldn't have known it. Yeah, I love when I used to watch Actor Studio. I'm a 7th year student. Well, when the fuck you gonna go work?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's different for the classically trained path that a lot of people take for acting versus just going out there and doing it and learning from.
You know what it is? You know what acting is? Paul Sylvan, who is a great actor. You look him up on IMDb. You'll look, and it's like his jacket of work. I call it that because the cops. The jacket. Yeah. Look at his jacket. But you look at his jacket, it's fucking amazing. This guy's done everything. Laverne and Shirley to Police Story, every fucking thing. Really strong fucking actor, okay? And I did workshop with him. And the first day I was there, he said, my thing about this is acting is when you were a little kid and you cops and robbers or doctor and nurse, or you played army or whatever you were doing. Okay. I mean, even, in my day, cowboys and Indians. I mean, that was what the fuck we did. I'm not in here and go, I'm sorry, I was a kid like the rest, so, it was what the essence that I'm getting to is acting. When you were a little kid and you were playing a cop and you're the cop on the robber, go and write a backstory. No, you just went, I'm a cop. Yeah. I'm the fucking criminal now. I'm going to shoot that cop. I'm going to get, hey, fuck you. Hey, okay. Yep. You right into it. You don't even think about it. You just go right into whatever. Okay. And it develops as you go. So to me, when I started to work in acting and they want me to write backstories and shit, I'm like, why am I writing a backstory? You gave me 2 fucking pages here. What am I writing? When am I going home? The writer already wrote the scene. What the fuck?
Right.
You know, I mean, so I never liked that shit. Write me a backstory. What's your character's backstory?
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, did you write it down? No, I was reading the script, so it's obviously he was this, and this. I mean, well, how did you arrive at that conclusion? I read the script.
Yep.
You know, I'd be in Paul's workshop, and he would talk about Anthony Hopkins, and I'd sit back and go, wow, yeah, he's right. I'm not going to say a word. And Anthony Hopkins, when he gets a script, he would read it all day, every day. He would probably read it in a week 100, 120 times. Just read it, put it down, get a cup of coffee, sit back, pick it up again and read it. Because Anthony Hopkins said the more you read it, the more you get what the writer is doing, or you get the vision. Making up shit. I'm not talking about when you're shooting and you improv something because it's works, right? That yep. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you know, you really you get into the words, you get into the eye contact with the other actor. You can't be worrying about, you know, one time I was in another acting class and they gave us sides, and he gave all the guys the same sides and the girls. He wanted to see how everybody would do this, or at least 10, 20 people. And it was a scene from Mean Streets, the movie Mean Streets. And it's where Harvey Keitel sits down with the black stripper and starts telling her everything about how he's going to open a restaurant. He wants her to be the thing. Now, it must be an original cut, because I remember the first time I saw it in the movie, she looks at him and goes, well, I don't know if you really are looking out for me, or your little Italian sausage is just looking to, you know, find a place to sleep tonight. And that dialogue has disappeared from but that was in the thing, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there waiting to read, and I'm like, fuck, I already know how I'm going to read this because I've seen the movie 170 times. I mean, so all right, I know what I don't want to be Harvey Keitel, although I got mistaken for him a lot when I was young and thin. I did. You know, it's kind of like this. Okay, so it's fucking Harvey. Anyway, an actor goes up there and he goes, he does the scene, and the acting coach says, so what's your backstory on this guy? And he goes, well, he's a guy flipping hamburgers, and someday he hopes to have a place, and yeah, you know. So I go up and I do the scene, and he goes, that was really good. What's your backstory with him? I said, his uncle's a mafioso who's taking over a restaurant because the guy can't pay him, you see. And unfortunately, I've seen this movie a million times, but I would have, again, the fact that his name is Charlie Chiaffi, he wouldn't be flipping fucking hamburgers in New York when it says he walks in dressed to the nines with his friends. Right. Quote, you know? Yeah, quote. Yeah. I said, there it is right there. The writer, Charlie Chiaffi, he's in Little Italy. He's not flipping any fucking hamburgers. He might be flipping some bodies down a shaft, but he's not flipping fucking hamburgers. You know, so again, it's like, I don't know. That's just me. I mean, I also studied with one of the greatest character actors ever, the renowned Timothy Carey. Okay. The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, The Killing, the other movie, The Killing. There's a lot of killings. Pads of Glory, steals the fucking movie at the end. Okay. And I'd go over to his compound. I lived in Whittier. He lived in, where was that? I can't think of the name of town, but he only lived about 15 minutes from me. And I'd go drive over there because he'd call me up. Tim would call me up and go, hey, Joey, it's Tim. Yeah. Hi, Tim. How you doing? Hey, you want to come over today and do a little acting? I got some stuff I want to work on with you. Come on over. We'll split a beer and we'll do some acting. Okay, great. You know, I'll jump in the car. I'm gonna go fucking workshop with Timothy Carey. Yeah. Holy shit. And and I was going to do a play with him called The Insect Trainer. And we were working on it, and then he unfortunately passed away. And then when his son, Romeo, took over to play Q Guasti, by then I was on the road. There was no way I could do the play. I was going to play Professor Borskorsky, who's a Russian professor, who was a professor of gastroenterology, because Guasti, you see, he fart all the time. And he kill a lady by fart that she fall down. So I want to prove that it's good to fart. Like Salvador Dali. Let your house make wind. So we were going to do this play, and I saw Romeo turned it into more of a musical, and it still was a great play. And it was written by Timothy Angogliacari and Salvador Dali. So, but studying with a guy like that was just, I mean, after that, after doing improv workshops with Robin Williams and then working with him, when these acting teachers would say things about, oh no, I'm not going to do that. Because I've done movies like Martial Law with Chad McQueen, where I'm holding up this jewelry store, and the sides had like 2 words: get him, okay, let him bring in the food. Oh, that's an exciting scene to open up with. Yeah, I'd be scared of this fucking guy. So I got the script and I worked on that scene on the road. I was on the road for 3 weeks. I worked on it every day because my buddy was producing.
Okay.
And Steve Cohen was directing, and they called me and they wanted me to play the guy, the coroner. The coroner is always the same thing in these B movies. They go in to see the body, and he's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a fucking sandwich. Hey, yeah, we want you to play that guy. I said, Jay, yeah, sure, okay. So I show up that day, and I'm in a full fucking duster with my Goopaline pulled down like this, okay? And I got sunglasses, and I got a fucking Walkman around me, but I got black gloves on, and when my coat pulls back, you see a fucking 45 revolver like that, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting, and I look across the table, I look across the room, and there's Professor Taro Tanaka, the former wrestler who became an actor, and I looked over to Professor, because we knew each other, we stand up, we hug, now everybody's not afraid of me. So I sit back down. So I go into read as the coroner, and I remember Al Honorado, who was casting. Honorado Franks were casting. Jerry Franks, Al Honorado. They look at me, and they go, "That's for the coroner?" I went, "Well, it's a little chilly out." And they go, "Yeah, okay." So I read for the coroner. I take my sides, and I go, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, he died from a bump in the chest." And I throw the sides away. I go, how was that? And they go, oh, yeah, that was good. I said, and then I pull the other sides out for the opening scene. And I went, now I want to read for you the part that I want to do. I don't want to do that bullshit. I want to do this. That was a lot of balls for a guy that had never done a fucking movie where he was a character with a gun and like, so I do the scene in the office. And, and they're like, now this movie's got David Carradine. There's another guy. One day he shoots in a blue suit. Next day he shows up in a brown suit. Well, wait a minute. We got a match yesterday. I feel brown today. Oh, you're out of here. Fucking there goes a half a day. Anyway, God bless him. But we were shooting the scene, and I, even at the table reading, I said, shouldn't I have something more to say? And Chad was like, no, that's all, you're doing good. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I ain't saying a word because I know when I get on set, I actually, it was really funny because they called my manager and cast me in like 4 minutes after I read. I swear to God. So then I get on the set, and Chad's there. Hey, Chad, how are you? Hey, how are you? And I said to him in the table reading, I went, what if I'm chewing gum and you come in with the pizza? And I take it out of my mouth. I go, oh, you want to be tipped? Yeah, this guy wants to get paid. You want to get paid? Here. And I stick the gum on your shirt. He goes, oh, no, don't do that. And right away in my head, I went, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. So we get on the fucking shoot. And the first thing I do is I'm running around. I all of the dialogue that comes out of me in that scene is mine. I took whatever they had and I changed it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there was a lady sitting on the floor as a hostage. And I go, all right, we got a pizza coming, blah, blah, blah. And I look over and I see this lady and I go, you get up. Come on, lady, get up. The lady, and her reaction was like fucking real, right? She jumps up and I go, now she goes out when the food gets here. And the director goes, okay, they free to cut. And the director comes over and the producer, and they go, okay, we need a bump up contract. You're going to get bumped up now. And that was great. Can you do that again? I said, yeah, I could do that. Where'd you get that? That's not in the script. I said, yeah, that's the problem. It's not in the script. So then by the end of the fucking scene, it's like the biggest scene in the movie. But Chad, I did put the gum on his fucking shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at it. And he looked up at me, and then when he kicks my ass, you see the movie. It's on Prime, Amazon Prime. It's called Martial Law. And Cynthia Rothrock's in it. Oh, she's still a babe. And hi, Cynthia. And I didn't have any scenes with her because I was big and fat. But anyway, no, I get my ass kicked real good with karate on this, and it's a scene I used on my reel forever, and got a lot of work out of it. And I've done a lot of stuff like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Look, I went out to read for a movie with Rutger Hauer, and Rutger Hauer played a detective, and they're trying to catch this guy that's a murderer, and I'm a bus driver who spills his coffee on his pants while driving down Broadway in New York and kills the murderer.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
They're in hot pursuit.
Yeah.
I run them over. So now I'm the second half of the film, this character. And I get this part with Rutger Hauer. And I went into my acting coach at the time, Paul. I love Paul. But I went in and he goes, how are you going to read this? And I went, well, I came up with an accent. He goes, let me hear it. And I went, I'm a goddamn hero. You're looking for this fucking guy. But I killed him. They know he killed that guy. So how the fuck am I up on manslaughter? Where does that come from? How does that come from here? And he goes, what is that accent? I said, I don't know. I mean, whatever you want. He goes, oh, don't do that. I mean, naturally in my head, it's do that. Right. So I go in to read, and I read the first couple of lines, which are from one part of the scene. And I see the director and the writer and the producer go like this. And I go, okay, now I'm going to, and I did that. I still remember the lines because it was, I would be the last thing you see on the screen while Rutger Hauer is watching the television while I'm doing a press conference because I'm up on trial for manslaughter, something like that.
Yeah.
And I did the whole thing. I'm a goddamn hero. Yeah, this fucking guy. And even the director said to me, what is that accent? And I don't know, pick a town. I don't know. And he goes, oh my God, it's like you're making the guy such a fucking, like just a dick. And I went, he is a dick. I'm reading the dialogue this guy's got throughout the movie. Every answer he has is ignorant. So they didn't get the funding. So the movie fell through. 2 years later, I get Clubhouse. They wanted to put me on 9 fucking episodes.
Okay.
I read for one. And this is not crybaby stuff. And that show got canceled, unfortunately. Christopher Lloyd, Dean Cain. But see, I just want to say to other actors out there, anybody watching, here's the key. When you get up for those things that don't happen, doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Just remember, man, when you know you can run with the big dogs, stay in the fucking high weeds. Don't go drinking. Don't go fucking yourself up. I'm 69, and I talked to my agent a couple of weeks ago about some stuff, and they're very high on me. I mean, and look, I'm 69. I mean, I probably would get a lot more work because there's not a lot of guys my age around now. But the point is, but I really would love to do horror and stuff. If you want to talk about horror?
Yeah. I went to. I was in high school, but I took drama class in high school for 4 years. I was also part of the theater company, and I learned.
That's the good stuff. It's the
Yeah.
college acting teacher that fucks
Yeah.
you up, not the guy in high school.
Yeah, but like I got to learn everything that went into an auditorium. So I learned sound, I learned lighting, I learned production, I learned set
Exactly.
design, writing, directing, all that stuff. And you know, now a couple of years ago, I got part of a independent horror production team, and now I'm sitting here writing stuff. I'm acting and things. It's, you know, I didn't pursue that as my career, but you know, I'm just going, you know, this is why I did this, because I used to write, you know, sketches and skits as a teenager,
Yeah.
and now these things are happening.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I did a movie in 1984. Myself and the late Gene LaPelle, great writer, funny guy. He would have been the new Orson Welles. He was a big guy, but he had a big voice and a beard. And we wrote a thing called Hollywood Highs. And Hollywood Highs was about the exploitation of drugs in the movies since the 20s with Cody Day, you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great. I don't feel I have to explain everything I'm talking about on this show. So people watch and go, oh, yeah, I know. That was, what's his name? Fairbanks jumping around. So anyway, we wrote this movie, and we had Blake Clark was in it, Kevin Pollak, a really fine actor you're going to hear about and is getting his due now, Michael Morano, who's got a really good movie coming out. They just premiered. I can't think of the freaking name of it, but look for Michael Morano, Morano, a fabulous actor. He did a dynamite. This was all about drug. We wrote a thing called Scarface's Treehouse, where Scarface gets a kiddie show.
Oh.
And it was great. he had a guy. We had a guy in a loincloth, like on a 24-hour grinder. You know, he's going around a mill, chopping coke. We had the magical medicine chest. You open it up, and all the pills talk to you and shit. And unfortunately, the movie was never. Money ran out, I guess, by for the brothers who were producing. I still talk to Ed now and then, Ed LaPelle, the director, but it was shot on 3/4 inch, and I would love to pull about an hour and a half of the material shot with that. But apparently the fear is if you touch the tapes, they're going to crumble. I mean, I don't know, but you know, it we'll see, maybe one day. But one thing I do want to do now, let's talk about horror movies. When I was 20. How old was I when we made Impulse? June of 77. I was 21 years old, and I was in this acting class with all my friends. Dunlap, the comedian, was in there, and Charlie Hill, the comedian, who was an American Indian comedian, was a very funny guy. And we're in this workshop with a guy named Gunther Collins, who was a writer, and he directed and wrote and directed a film called Judd with Joe Skip Kaufman. And what was her name? She was killed in a car accident. She was like a Playboy bunny, but she was also an actress. She was the co-star.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of her name offhand, but so that was something he wrote, and it was a movie that he did. But I don't know what his complete background was. I could never figure it out. But apparently, at one time, he wrote for Rod Serling.
Okay.
And he said he wrote The Writer and what was the other one? And Eye of the Beholder, but that Rod Serling you'd write and he'd buy it, put his name on it, make his little changes or whatever. So that I say is very, very possible. But anyway, he had this script called Impulse, and we start reading it, and he gets about $25,000-$30,000, including about $1,500 of my money. And we all pitched in, and we got some other people to put money in, and we made this movie. And we shot it in like 4 or 5 days up at on Michael Torina Street. There was a home for wayward girls that was originally owned by Antonio Morano, the silent actor. Big mansion. So we shot the movie there. It's a movie about where a ghost is in there and it takes over a woman and she hacks everybody up. And it's never been done. Anyway, this is without a doubt, after watching it many times, constant scrutiny, probably the biggest piece of shit since an elephant took a shit. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, it's just bad. And it makes the room look like Gone with the Wind. But the thing about it is, there is this, as you watch it, and I've had other friends watch it, and they just sit there going, how in the fuck you really made this? And it's a horror movie, and the some of the acting is actually very good, but it's just, it doesn't. What I want to do is I really want to run it on Facebook and do a watch, everybody watch, because the only print available is the one I have, which was the work print, because the editor, drunk named Frank McKelvey, who was the editor, fucking cut out the good stuff. We were shooting in a fast schedule, and 2 big scenes were cut out. It's just a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it is the kind of movie that you'd watch and go, well, this is worse than Plan 9. So, but it's 90 minutes and it's in color. You know?
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, yeah, it's because I do another show with my producer and co-host that we watch horror movies. We review them 3-4 movies a week. And our slogan is, we watch bad movies so you don't have to.
Well, I'm telling you, man, this is bad. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and on Mondays, a lot of times I'll go to the cinema, the Loft Cinema. They have a thing called Mondo Mondays. And now I worked with an actress named Harley Jane Kozak in the movie All I Want for Christmas. She played the mom of Thora Birch and Ethan Randall, and
which you were shot at Leslie Nielsen. Yeah,
Leslie, right. Now we go to see this movie. It was one of those slasher. Everybody's living in the house and people are getting killed, and there's Harley Kozak, and I'm like, oh, that's. So I turned to my friend and I said, hey, I did All I Want for Christmas. She plays the mom. She goes, yeah, that's her. And this is about 9-10 years before All I Want for Christmas. So during the movie, the guy behind me hears it and he goes, are you an All I Want? You're an actor? I go, yeah. And I tell him, and he, okay, hey, nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. So that starts to spread down the other end. And it didn't really matter because people are like, who? What the fuck? So anyway, they tell it's Harley Jane Kozak, but her name is Harley Kozak. And at some point in the movie, I can't remember when, she's topless. And as she unveils real loud, I yelled, that's not in All I Want for Christmas. But that cracked me up. And then I watched another movie with Shannon Tweed from First and 10, who played the owner of the team on First and 10. What's his name's wife? Gene Simmons. And I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, wow, man. Shannon before. Yeah. So it was really funny. I'm in a theater watching people I worked with. So I'm trying to get them to run Galaxis and Open Fire and Marshall.
Yeah.
Do a Joey Gaynor moment.
The Joey Gaynor matinee.
Yeah, the other one I love is another movie I did with it's got Fool's Gold. I get beaten to death by Courtney Gaines and Anthony Michael Hall, and so I get killed by Brat Packers. That's great. That's actually a really good movie. That's Charles Rocket's last movie. He killed himself not too long after that, poor guy. But it's a really good movie. It's got a lot of good actors in it, and it's a very well done movie. And so that's something you can, that's something for you folks who are wondering what it was like in the world before cell phones.
It was a great time.
Oh, yeah. You know what was great about that? You put a quarter in a phone, you called your answering machine, and you listened, and you went, good, I don't have to fuck with that. And that was it. You went back to what you were doing,
Oh, yeah. I was the millennial that grew up analog and in their childhood, teenager years went to digital. So it was, I just remember having to memorize people's phone numbers. There's a crazy idea, right?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you half the phone numbers in my phone. I can't tell you most of the phone numbers.
Yeah.
But Oh, what else did you want to ask me?
Yeah, so I would kind of get into this last story here for this episode tonight. I of course I had to Google, the ghosts of the comedy store, right?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it like you look it up and they're like every paranormal researcher in the country has gone there and talked about, like Zach from Ghost Adventures and just like
Yeah,
cold
see,
stuff.
Here's the thing. When I first walked in the Comedy Store, I felt very comfortable, very secure. I don't know why. And for years, I didn't know why. And then the ghost stuff started happening. And I'm sitting talking with my uncle one time, who was an infamous bookmaker in Los Angeles at one time. And then he was a legitimate ticket broker and everything. And I'm sitting there talking to him about, the Comedy Store. And I said, man, there's some crazy stuff. Whenever I'm there, it's like there's ghosts or whatever. And I said, I don't know why. And he goes, maybe it's because when I was young in the 50s, I used to be a bag man for Mickey Cohen, who would hang out at Ciro's, which is now the Comedy Store. And I would bring him all the betting, all the money, the gambling money from Sammy Davis and Milton Berle, Frank Sinatra. And I had to go around the studios and pick it up, and then I'd bring it to him. And I sat back and I went, really? And then I was there to shoot something, and Kenny Kingston, the psychic, was there. And we sat down. And before I said a word, actually, I was getting my hair blackened. I had done the movie 5 Heartbeats, and my hair was all blonde. So I was getting it jet black at a place called Cinema Secrets for First and 10, the HBO.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting, and there's Kenny Kingston, and they introduce us because you're sitting there, and he looks at me and he says, like that. I go, what? And he goes, okay, your Aunt Lena, your Aunt Mary, and your Aunt Josie are looking out for you. I never met this guy in my life. He goes, yes, your Aunt Lena, yes, she's the one who died in 1985, but she's been looking out for you. I mean, they really are. And I'm like, holy fuck, holy moly. And he starts talking to me about it. And then he says to me, yeah, the activity, you've run into a lot of activity at a comedy place. I said, yeah. And we're talking. And I always thought guys like Kenny Kingston were full of shit. This guy, he knew people in my family that were dead. That I never met the man. He don't know my family.
Right.
So then we were shooting a thing for Mike and Maddie's morning show about the ghosts at the Comedy Store. And he came down into the basement, and he said he felt and saw, he could feel and see blood on the floors, and that someone was killed down there. Well, what came out later was Frank Sinatra, who owned Ciro's, where they shot big time television shows. Sinatra, Sammy Davis, everybody performed. Yeah. Desi Arnaz was the house band, and they did all of this, and go to find out that the owner, everybody went there. Stars, gangsters are all in the same place. And when you have movie stars, celebrities, and gangsters and politicians, and you have showgirls, okay, things happen.
Right.
So Frank Sinatra allegedly had a retired nurse down in the basement. So if a showgirl got knocked up, it got taken care of.
Right.
And one night, Sam Kinison, me, Freddie Asparagus, the late Carl LeBeau, wow, almost all of them are gone. We all were in the main room sitting there, and we decided to have a seance. And we started having a seance, and we're getting serious with it. And I don't really like that shit, but we're having the seance, and suddenly, out of nowhere, this is like 2:30 in the morning, we hear a baby cry. And that was it. We all, whoa, did you hear that? You know, it wasn't a cat. It wasn't a dog. It was a baby cry. Okay, so we got up and we left. I've been in there late at night and heard the piano in the belly room playing, and there's nobody in there when I go up there. I've been in there, and I went to shut the lights off as you see in the show, and the chairs were stacked to the ceiling when I turn around. Blake Clark and I were in there when an ashtray flew over my head because I was provoking them. Another night, I heard two women in the bathroom, the ladies' room in the main room, at like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. I'm locking up and I hear two women and they're yelling at each other. They're arguing, but it's not 1980s
Yeah, right.
It was things like, oh, so you got big ideas, huh? Well, I'm his mal, and the other voice is like, he's a 2-time and 4-flusher, and you're gonna see. I'm like, who's in there? The grandparents? I walk in there, and I'm like, ladies, we're close. There's nobody in there, and so that's right. It's pretty crazy, and it's funny because I said I'd talk about writing for trauma films, which was great. I got high every day and sat in front of the video machine and just okay, write that down. Okay, and what I would do is I lived with my mom at the time because she was older and she didn't drive. So I went and I would take a walk and smoke a joint and come back home. And I'd be fucked up. Then I'd sit down at the typewriter, start working. And I'm sitting there and and I got a pad and pen. And I'm watching, and I'm on a little 13-inch TV with a VCR, and I'm watching this film, and I'm rewriting the script for Charles Kaufman. And and then I would rewrite all this stuff, and I have the time signatures. And then I'd call my mom over and I go, Mom, come here. Now watch these people. I don't have the sound on, but I'm going to say what they're supposed to say. So my mom, who's like 70, 72, whatever. She's about 72, 73, comes over and she goes, all right. And she's watching. And I start doing the jokes like, I start doing the dialogue. I can't remember all the dialogue, but I'm doing the dialogue and she's laughing her ass off at it. That's what they're going to do. Dub these people. I said, yeah. So that was great. If you're a writer out there and you're stuck, ask your mom if she's around. God bless. It's a good thing. And so she was in on the writing some of that crap. No, it's not crap. It's funny, but it just makes me laugh because people would say it's racist or whatever. It's fucking funny. I'm sorry. It's a the guy the lead guy in it, Barry Prima, who's like the Chuck Norris of the Netherlands, said if he ever met me, he'd kick the shit out of me, and he could. But I think he got Lloyd Kaufman, who owns Troma, told me he thinks that Barry Prima never got as much attention as he did because of this. And Blockbuster Video gave it 5 stars and said it was better than it was actually better than What's Up Tiger Lily. They said it was a lot funnier. So that was pretty cool. And Days of Darkness, the zombie movie. Yeah, I was supposed to be a zombie in that. No, I was supposed to be attacked by a zombie and have my arm bitten open. So me and the makeup girl are working furiously for like 3 hours, making a thing on my arm so that when the zombie sinks his teeth into the foam, he'll rip it and all of the blood will shoot out. Okay, it was beautiful. I worked with Tom Schwartz, who worked on Scanners. He worked on Hollywood Highs, doing foam heads and that. Doing Brando, so we had to make a head. Anyway, and I learned a lot from him. So we had this all set. So we get back up to where we're going to shoot, and this South African kid that wrote the movie goes, "Oh, we already shot it." And the producer went crazy. What do you mean you already shot it? He goes, "Well, we did." And okay, so now I'm walking around with this thing, but that movie, I had to rewrite all of the dialogue because this guy had the women in it, no matter the women saying things like to the men, "Hey, cock, come over here." That no one talks like that. Porn stars don't talk like that. Okay. So when I got on the set, all of the actresses thanked me for taking all that shit out of there. And I said, all right, I don't blame you. It sucked. Right. But, this is it feels good that you do some stuff right. I've done plenty of things wrong, so that's why I'm in witness protection. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because in July I was able to co-write a movie that we were working on, and I get killed, right? And I sit in the makeup chair for an hour and a half. I have a bald head, so it works really well to do a head prosthetic and just the layering of the liquid latex and building up. And we had hoses coming down the back of my head, down my shirt, 20 feet away.
I love that. I love that.
And I was assistant directing as well, and for continuity, I was on the ground in a cornfield directing the scene while not moving. And at the end, there's a whole bunch of bodies and stuff like that, and the special effect guy goes, all right, we're gonna splash blood, some fake body chunks and skin, stuff like that. People are like, oh, don't ruin my clothes. I'm like, okay. I brought 2 pairs of the same clothes, the same exact outfit. So one is clean and one is for special effects and makeup, right? And he looks at me and I'm like, dump it all on me. just make me as bloody as possible.
Yeah, if you're gonna be bloody, yes.
Right.
We're gore better.
Yeah. So I told the guy who now works with us, we have an upcoming movie next year that we're shooting. And I was talking to the director who's part of the team I'm on. And I go, if you need a dead body, I will go sit in that chair for 5 hours, whatever it requires to make the scene look great. I will sit in that chair because I had such a blast doing it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any pictures. I couldn't, we're out in the middle of a cornfield, so we had cameras, and people were like, you were in that for 8 hours. I go, yeah, I guess I was. They're like, all right, let's drive back. And they're like, I didn't, no place to clean up. They're like, well, if a cop pulls you over and sees your head wound and looks like blood, they're going to say something. They go, I don't know what I look like. So they took a picture. I looked at it. I go, huh. So I'm just like, it was such a great experience for me. Yeah, they were 14-hour days, starting at night.
Yeah.
So and doing that for a couple of days is just like,
it just feels good.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot of work, but it feels really good. It's funny, Ron Jeremy. Anyway, I used to years ago. I had a concert ticket thing, and I sent guys to get some tickets at Tower Records in Topanga Canyon Boulevard, and they go up there. Not Topanga. Yeah, it is Topanga Canyon. Anyway, I think they go and they're standing out there, and Ron Jeremy was doing this movie where he was all beat up and covered with blood. And he walks up to my 2 friends because they know each other from the Comedy Store, and he goes, hey guys, how you doing? He's talking, and the cops, like 2 cop cars, zoom up and start arresting my friends and like ask him, all right, how badly did they beat you? What happened? He's like, no, I'm Ron Jeremy. That was makeup. No, you want to see my dick? I'll prove I'm Ron Jeremy. It's fucking insane, man.
Yeah, this is why I love movies. This is why I love doing the small indie stuff that we're currently doing. We obviously have dreams of doing more and bigger stuff, but
yeah. I mean,
the blast.
I'm looking to produce a couple of things here. One is I want to do an episodic thing about a comedian here who's a clown, but he's not, I wouldn't invite him to a kid's party. And there's a couple of other things. And now what's really great is SAG has a thing where you can become a low budget producer. You can produce anything from $25,000 and under. So you can hire union actors who ain't doing nothing. And if you have a budget, you can give them $100, $150, 50, whatever, I'm not saying to exploit them, but if you're doing a short film or a small, and they can be compensated and not get in any trouble or anything, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
For young actors that are trying to break, to get experience,
Right.
I think it's a really good thing. And that's hopefully that I'll be doing that by next year. So, because I do like working with young talent. Old talent, they get sick. No,
Yeah, it like I said, it's great. As an indie guy myself, I love that we're able to call up someone like Michael Berryman or Susan Lanier and get them into our smaller budget.
Oh yeah. No, that's good talent right there.
Yeah,
no problem. Michael Berryman and I had the same agent.
Really?
Yes. Sports casting period many years ago, and that my agent at the time was O.J. Simpson's golf buddy, and which did not have any sway in me getting on the show. I auditioned.
Mm-hmm.
But when I walked on the set, OJ, I introduced myself, and he said, "Oh, you're Joe's boy. Come here." And so I was, pretty much you couldn't fuck with me on this.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. That's not my. I'm not like that. I was very, very. I was around a lot of great football players and athletes. I mean, I was around Lawrence Taylor from the Giants. I was like a child around that guy. Hey, how you doing? So I mean, it was a great experience. And Peter Bonnerts, who was Jerry on Bob Newhart, he was the detective. Mm-hmm. He was the director. He also directed what's her name? Candace Bergen, Murphy Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of fun though. People ask me, "Do you think OJ did it?" And I say, "No, I don't know. I don't know if he did it. I wasn't there." "How can you say that?" "All right, let me try again. I say it this way. I don't know. I wasn't there." And they go, "How can you? Why do you?" And I go, "Look, here's a guy you eat lunch with every day. Here's a guy you talk to. You're hanging out. You're working. Blah blah blah. And you get kind of friendly. I'd never been to his house or anything, but you get kind of friendly. And do you want to really think that somebody you got friendly with and trusted would kill people?"
Right.
So I would rather leave the truth. I have no idea. I wasn't there. And it does drive people crazy, though.
All right, Joey. Well, we're at that time here. So let us know where people can find you and follow you and learn about all your upcoming projects you have.
Well, you can find me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm going to start posting stuff finally because I've been shooting some clips and they're real funny. Oh. I'll give you a hint. Like I like to walk up to the if there's 3 or 4 guys lollygagging around at the Home Depot, I like to walk up to them and go, "Excuse me, where's your produce department?" And just watch them look at each other. And usually the guy that's brand new will go, we have a produce department? I didn't know that. So, I can bust balls. So look for those. Instagram is Joey Gaynor 55. Facebook, Joey Gaynor. There's 2 Joey Gaynor Facebooks. They're both mine. One I'm hardly ever on. The other one, you'll see us crowning Richard Pryor King of Comedy. That's the thing. Happy to friend you. Where else? I'm on Cameo. So if you want Frankie the Rat from First and 10, or or Fat Joey from 5 Heartbeats, or Joey from Galaxis, which was a great movie to work on because Bridget Nielsen's dog got lost. I found the dog, and I'm 5'8", she's 6'4". She grabbed me and gave me a big hug and right into her breasts, and it was great to be 5'8". Yeah, I'm on Cameo, and I'm anybody that wants me to do a hello, a goodbye, or whatever, just hit me up. And I'm not expensive, but there are guys on there to get a lot of money, and that's great because they're,
right.
Fuck them. Anyway, the point, I'm just kidding around. Oh, by the way, I'm never this scruffy. This weekend, I'm doing a thing in Bisbee, Arizona, where I'm playing George Warren, who founded the copper mines there. And it's a reenactment of the Bisbee bank robbery massacre.
Oh.
God, I'm not involved in that, but doing this historical thing. And so I'm growing this out, and then they'll probably tell me, "Oh, no, he was clean shaven." So anyway. But just for all you people that have Prime Video and that you are a Three Stooges fan, go to the live channels. There's the Three Stooges channel now, baby.
Nice.
So, yes. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Ramadan, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, or as we say in Jersey, hey, do whatever. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey, for coming on. As always,
thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Graveyard. Follow us on all social media at Pod Out at Night, and look at all our new stuff we're working on, new scripts from Horror Dads Productions, and fingers crossed, our pilot of a TV show we're working on will be filmed.
Oh, great. Too, and you can also find me at Tucson-comedy.com. Tucson-comedy.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joey. You have a great night. We'll see you next time. Don't
Yeah,
get lost
definitely.
in the void.
Yeah, let's
Good
get
night.
together again in 25 and do this exactly the same way.
Yes, let's do it.
Same, everything the same. The dialogue, everything. So people could go, is this a rerun? What happened? Give me another beer. Where are the children? Where's the children's beer? No, I don't know.
Awesome. We'll see you next time.
My man. Thank you.
Bye.